I've worked in the animation industry since graduating back in 2004. I won a Royal Television Award for my degree film, worked my way up from Inca Junior to lead animator at an established company, before founding my own successful studio 6 years ago, which has itself gone on to win awards with its own regular team. It's navigated business hurdles and produced an array of cool work for respected brands from our own studio space. And I've even made this course on how to plan and start and run an animation studio. Yet I experience imposter syndrome most every single day. Imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud, imposter experience. It's such a strange phenomenon, an intangible sense that makes you devalue your own experiences and skills that can stop you or your studio achieving. When running a studio, imposter syndrome can apply to how you view your studio as well as yourself. I personally try and view it with a positive spin. I try my utmost to not let it stop me doing what I want to do or prevent our animation studio succeeding. Sometimes I need to remind myself of the skills I do actually have and the years spent learning and improving. Skills I imagine you have too, having spent years animating or wherever you are in your career. But the questions still come. Is your team really able to produce content for that premium brand? Are you a studio or just a collection of freelancers who are winging it? That other studio's work is so much better. You've got no right even being in this space. Who are you to talk about imposter syndrome? Oh, wait. Relentless and cruel. I like to picture it as my subconscious just checking in and making sure I'm doing the best I can for a task, which is fine. It's good to question my own and our studio's work and aspire to do better, provide a more professional service, solve clients' problems on time, and of course create unique, compelling visuals. Plus, it's something that definitely gets easier to deal with the more you embrace it. Ah yes, that feeling again. Righto, ignore it, carry on, then check. Yep, the world's still moving, good. Move on to the next challenge. But if it's persistent and making for a pretty sound argument, then maybe it's time for me to listen. Time for me to spend a bit more time learning, dedicate more time preparing for a given task to ensure I'm confident that I or our studio can carry it out. I've turned down work in the past for our studio, where I felt that we weren't a good fit because the requirements were far larger than our studio is used to producing. Even if the budget is there, I was just too uncomfortable taking on too big a challenge. And I'm okay with that, even though some of the projects were particularly cool. If I look back on this, I know it was the right choice. A couple of years on, having learned and grown some more, perhaps we'd say yes now. Another example, if I've promised a client a photoreal 3D rendered character sequence, but I feel a wave of imposter syndrome, perhaps it's a sign that I need to brush up on my own 3D scene lighting and rendering skills, or ensure I've included extra budget in a quote for a trusted freelancer to be brought on, and allow for longer render times to raise the bar in that area of the production. This can quickly dispel those feelings of being a fraud, because you're really not. You are going to deliver what you're suggesting. Quick ad break. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you might be interested in our free or our paid advanced courses on starting an animation studio of your very own. Just head on over to startastudio.com to find out more. Back to the video. Of course, I know there are people who are far better illustrators, animators, and 3D modelers than me. Plus, there are of course those with far better business knowledge. But I do know a bit, and I can and have produced animation and managed productions of animation for clients for years that they will be pleased with. Plus, I can share what I've learned in the business of running my own studio, and it could hopefully help others. Yes, work can be challenging and imposter syndrome is certainly a thing, but I know and love the creative process and the buzz of growing a business and wouldn't change that for the world. Quick story. I once found myself leaving the leafy Devonshire coast, where our small studio is, and travelling to a potential client's office in London for a project chat. A project that I knew nothing about, and a FTSE 100 company who to my mind should have been speaking to a much more established studio. The client had found us because I'd spent just £12 on some Google ads that month, and they'd seen our recent website. Arriving on the 14th floor of a super shiny office at Canary Wharf, I was led into a daunting boardroom with a huge mahogany table. I was offered coffee as 10 suited businessmen and women walked in. I suddenly felt that my blazer and jeans attire might not quite cut it. 2 people then dialed in from overseas and appeared on the giant screens. Then the most important person in the room said, Okay, John, would you like to start? Talk about imposter syndrome. I'd have happily crawled under the table and never come out. But I did what was required. I stumbled my way through an introduction of our studio and what we do and who we work for. We were and are a small studio, not based in London, and that was plain to see. I said about 1,000 times as I answered questions on deadlines, rounds of amends and cost, then sank into my chair as different people chipped in about their goals for the project. Years on, our studio had produced 3 videos for that client, and they recently signed up for a retainer to produce 4 animated videos of 2 minutes per year at around 12k per video. Is there a moral to the story? I'm not sure. But had I not ignored the shouts of imposter syndrome, I wouldn't have replied to the initial inquiry or said yes to a chat. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're watching on YouTube, you might be interested in our free mini course or our advanced paid course on starting your own viable animation studio. Just head on over to starterstudio.com to find out more.